Society tells you that communication is the golden key to every heart, that sitting down for a talk is the mature path to a lasting bond, and that clarity is the ultimate virtue. They lied to you. In the ruthless theater of human dynamics, the person who speaks the most is the person who holds the least power. Today, perhaps more than ever, we are living in a grand 2D animated tragedy where the characters measure their worth by the thickness of their goodness, unaware that their transparency is actually a formal request for their own emotional execution. We peel back the skin of the modern situationship to reveal not a failure of romance, but a masterclass in psychological warfare. A web of absolute confusion where the spider is the one who remains silent and the fly is the one who won't stop buzzing about boundaries. If you have ever felt like a hostage to someone's indecision, if you've spent your nights decoding the subtext of a lowercase k as if it were an ancient hieroglyph, then welcome. You have been playing the role of the pawn, but it is time to learn how to flip the board. Imagine the archetypal subject of our era, the vector-animated nice guy, or the anxious empath, vibrating with the frantic energy of a lab rat pressing a lever for a pellet of validation that never arrives. He is currently typing a 3-page digital scroll, an emotional manifesto explaining his feelings, his needs, and his deep desire for commitment. He thinks he is being brave. He thinks he is being authentic. In reality, he is presenting a surrender document. By asking, "What are we?" he is effectively handing over the keys to his inner citadel and begging the invader to tell him how much rent he should pay for his own soul. Every word he speaks is a microtransaction where he sells his mystery for a scrap of lukewarm comfort. He doesn't realize that in the Machiavellian calculus, the more you define a relationship, the more you domesticate it. And once a predator is domesticated, it loses interest in the hand that feeds it. You sit there, staring at the glowing rectangle in your palm, wondering why your sincerity isn't being rewarded. It's because conwe, at their primal, unevolved core, despise what is too easily attained. You have flooded the market with your availability. You are a commodity with an infinite supply and a dwindling demand. Every time you explain your heart, you remove the shadow that fuels the human imagination. You aren't being deep, you are being predictable. And in the game of power, the predictable are always the first to be discarded. This is the satirical tragedy of the modern romantic. You are performing a grand monologue for an audience that has already left the theater to get a sandwich. Your vulnerability is not a bridge, it is a map of your triggers, handed directly to the person most likely to pull them. Machiavelli, the patron saint of the cold reality, observed that men judge more by their eyes than by their hands. Everyone sees what you appear to be, but few feel what you are. In the misty, unlabeled territory of the situationship, you have a unique strategic advantage, the fog of war. By refusing to clarify, you become an enigma. When you are always present, always explaining, and always accessible, you are a solved puzzle, as exciting as a tax return. But when you move into the void, when you embrace the absolute confusion of the mupmur, you force the other person's brain to do the heavy lifting. The human mind is a factory of neurosis. Without information, it doesn't fill the gap with peace. It fills it with fear, curiosity, and eventually obsession. Why aren't they asking for a label? Why don't they care like I do? Who else are they talking to? By doing absolutely nothing, you occupy the center of their consciousness. You become a ghost in their machine. Stop now and audit the biological tax you have been paying. Every hour you spend decoding their behavior is an hour stolen from your own empire. Every evening wasted waiting for a notification is a brick removed from the foundation of your own monument. You have made yourself a tenant in someone else's mind, but the rent is your very soul. Today, we initiate the Machiavellian shift. We stop seeking the talk and start seeking the silence. We realize that the situationship isn't a trap for you, it's a trap for them, provided you have the iron discipline to stop providing the data they use to manage you. You must learn that the most powerful statement you can make is the one you never send. By leaning into the absolute confusion, you aren't being toxic, you are becoming formidable. You are reclaiming the mystery that makes you a prize rather than a project. The transition from the pawn to the architect begins with a single, cold-blooded realization. Your silence is not a void, it is a mirror. When you stop providing the data, the other person is forced to look at their own reflection, and for the insecure, that is the ultimate torture. Machiavelli understood that to be respected, one must be capable of being feared. And in the digital age, nothing is more terrifying than the sudden, unexplained withdrawal of presence. This is the silent guillotine. You do not announce your departure. You do not send a "we need to talk" text, which is really just a formal invitation for them to manipulate you one last time. You simply vanish from the emotional frequency. In the 2D animated storyboard of their life, you were the reliable background music. Now the track has cut to a deafening, pressurized silence. They will check their phone. They will check the scene receipt. They will check your stories for a glitch in the matrix, a sign that you are hurting. Do not give it to them. You must confront the provocation of your own ego, which begs you to win the argument. You think that by having the last word you achieve victory, but the Machiavellian strategist knows that the last word is for the desperate. True victory is the refusal to even attend the trial. Observe the satirical comedy of the starve the ego phase. Most people will tell you to block them, to delete them, to perform a digital exorcism. That is a sign of weakness. To block someone is to admit they still have the power to move your thumb. It is a loud, vibrating declaration of your own resentment. No, the master remains visible but untouchable. You stay in their contact list like a dormant virus. You see their messages, you register their frantic check-ins, and you respond with the absolute, crushing weight of your indifference. Indifference is not a lack of feeling. It is the realization that their existence no longer merits your vital energy. You are practicing the Stoic apatheia, a state where the external storm of their drama cannot even rattle the windows of your inner citadel. While they are spiraling into the confusion trap you've set, wondering why their usual hooks no longer catch your skin, you must enter monk mode. This is the radical offensive reallocation of your temporal capital. Every neural firing you once wasted on decoding their behavior must now be aimed at your own empire. You build the body, you build the bank account, and you build the mind until you are a high-definition version of a human being, while they remain a blurry, vector-animated caricature of their own desperation. You aren't ghosting to be mean. You are performing a structural integrity check on your own soul. You are realizing that the situationship was never about them. It was about your own addiction to external validation. By leaning into the absolute confusion, you are finally breaking the fever of your own need to be understood. But heed the warning of the masters. Power has a price, and that price is the comfort of the crowd. To rule from the void is to accept a certain crystalline coldness. You will lose the lukewarm company of those who only liked you when you were manageable. You will find that most people cannot handle the silence of a sovereign individual. They will call you cold,
toxic, or narcissistic. Let them. Their labels are merely the sound of a key that no longer fits the lock. You have reached the Machiavellian peak where your reputation is a shadow you no longer try to catch. You are no longer a nice guy or an anxious empath. You are the architect of a reality where your approval is the only currency that doesn't inflate. You have found the silence of your own worth, a temple built on the ruins of your own naivete. As the animated credits of your old life roll, you see the characters you once begged for attention looking up in confusion. They don't recognize the person you've become. You aren't arguing with them. You aren't explaining yourself. You are simply gone, even if you're standing right in front of them. You have moved into a three-dimensional reality where your value is a settled fact, independent of the marketplace of opinions. You are reborn, not into a new persona, but into a new relationship with the absolute. You have looked into the dark, shook hands with the monster of your own ambition, and found that it was the only thing standing between you and the total annihilation of your spirit. You have achieved the ultimate Stoic victory. The world no longer happens to you. You happen to the world. The race for their approval is over because you've already walked off the track and started building your own stadium. You have found the inner citadel, and the gates are closed to anyone who doesn't bring a tribute of absolute respect. If you are ready to stop being a pawn and start being the one who moves the pieces, then the shadows are waiting for you. Reclaim your mystery. Burn the surrendered manifestos. Stop asking, "What are we?" and start asking, "Who am I becoming?" For those who still wish to send 3-page texts and beg for labels, the theater of the mediocre is always open, and the seats are free. But for the ghost, the sovereign, and the strategist, the world is a blank map, and silence is the only language that matters. You are free from the mask, free from the trap, and finally, magnificently, awake. The most powerful statement you can ever make is the silence that follows the realization that you no longer need them to understand you.